4 o'clock in the morning, take a smoke break and talk. I connected it all together a certain way. I asked this computer, if it's paper, say paper. It chose pencil. There. If I can go back to it, it said pencil. Oh no. I said, what kind of I said, if you're paper, write paper. It wrote down drawing. I said, what kind of a drawing? It chose pencil. Okay. There's a reason why I'm making this video, trying to explain something. I love science, but I'm not that good. But I'm creative, and creativity and imagination can get you farther. Right here is another conscience. See that? That's another conscience. My conscience is traveling through imagination. You see this box? That's imagination. I'm going to just show you something real fast. Do I have the word imagination on there? Imagination. Our conscience, when we go to sleep, or when we daydream, is traveling through a medium. It's called the imagination. When we think of something new, where our conscious mind goes unconscious and travels through imagination. So when we're conscious, we can go unconscious and we can travel through the imagination. If we're traveling through the imagination, a place where we can create anything, it's no different than this input box. Where would that be? What would that be? Magnetic polarity. But see, what travels through magnetic polarity is electricity. Or what they call light. But I'm going to put electricity. Because the way that intelligence works is using a synapse, which is no different than static, is basically static electricity. Our body's producing this electricity in the magnetic field. Okay. If we go back to the page here, RU electricity. It's so fucking crazy. It says conscience. It says it's not electricity, it's conscience. Now, the reason I chose random is because when I connected it to this 3D back here, that 3D is moving randomly. So, it's choosing the word conscience from up here. See? How are you conscious? Electricity. Now, most people's like, well, you believe that. I got a funny feeling about it. The responses are random. It's connected to a three-dimensional object on a web page that's random. You see it's moving randomly? That means all of its thoughts are moving randomly. Magnetism is always doing calculations because it's always trying to figure out something. So there's always attraction and repulsion. And also, it's perpetual motion. These are keywords for intelligence, real intelligence. One of the words it liked was perpetual motion a lot. Even though I had it on random, it would always be choosing perpetual motion, because it was slowly getting connected to this random 3D object. So, I'm going to show you something I realized. Everything on here is random. If I scroll down, this first database, everything that I was building in the first place is all right here. Nothing mattered. All I needed was this unordered list, which is random, a chatbot that picks random words, a three-dimensional object that moves around randomly, the PHP has a random, Python has a random. By the time I get done putting all this random on here, it's going to become something that randomly talks about something that we do want to talk about. Because when I type in a bunch of bullshit, nothing's there. It's just blank. It's just looking at me like, what the fuck does that mean? See? But when I go like this, if I type in a word like ghost, if I type in intelligence, I'll find it. It'll make everything else that you wanted it to not think about, and give you an answer. Now, I'll let you all download it and play with it a little bit and see if you can see if it sounds like it might be real. Okay? You can see how it's built. It's not nothing there specifically there. It's just a bunch of random stuff I put together. Okay, this happened to me last time when I was building it. I just didn't pay attention to it because it's me just drawing. In randomness, in science, if you look at it, magnetism has a lot of randomness. The reason that magnetic polarity has a lot of randomness is because it's constantly doing calculations of what's attracting and what's repelling. If you look at the universe, it's constantly doing that. But we also, as intelligent human beings, do the same thing.